Hi, everyone. This is Jacqui Cooper with CryptoMom2 and JCooperTravels, and I want to welcome you to this episode. And I also want to remind you to definitely like and subscribe and share out this episode along with the others with your family, friends, and colleagues. I am really excited today to be talking to an individual who's all the way across the world. And that's the one beautiful thing about Zoom and our connections. We can have global conversations and do business no matter where we are. And for those of you that are new to CryptoMom2 or JCooper Travels, I want to share a little bit about me before I hop over to my guest today. My background is that I'm an attorney and I'm also an educator and also an entrepreneur in the blockchain space. So I have been networking with individuals in this community for over 5 years now, and I've learned a lot about blockchain, about Bitcoin, about altcoins, NFTs, metaverse. There's a lot of creativity that is in this space, and it's constantly evolving. One of the things that I've also done is that I'm an author. I'm an author of a series of books called The Bitcoin Cinderella, The Adventures on the Blockchain. And as a result of the books that I've been writing for adults as well as for children, I've had to educate myself, and the terms within the terminology within this space is kind of technical sometimes. So as an individual who does not have a tech background, I've had to kind of figure out and navigate for when I'm writing the books. Who do I call? Who do I talk to? Who are the experts? And I recently came back from the Bitcoin 2023 conference, as well as a GBA conference. And both of those conferences were involved with blockchain and with individuals who are doing remarkable things in this space. And as a result of my connections, I actually navigated over to the company and the gentleman who we're going to be talking with today, because he has been in this space for a while, and he's actually an expert in what we call Web3. So we're going to be doing a dive into what actually Web3 is, and how, if you are in business with a traditional business and you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do to kind of step up and get into this area, we're going to be chatting a little bit, so you now have a resource that you can connect with to learn how to do that. So welcome today. How are you doing? I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Yeah. So why don't you introduce yourself and also the name of the company? We're also, for those that are on the audio side, I am doing this on the Zoom as well. So you can definitely hop over to the CryptoMom2 YouTube and see the visual. But also for those that might be driving on the audio side, we're going to be mentioning how you can reach out. All the links will be embedded in the blog below. But I definitely recommend that you hop over to the YouTube side so you can see the visuals that we're going to be talking about on today's show.
Mhm. My name is Talha Asif. I'm based out of Bahrain. It's a tiny island right next to Dubai in Saudi Arabia. I currently run a company called Nalikes Studio, which is a software development house, which works with founders and businesses by helping them design, launch, and scale the application, the apps, and Web3 projects.
I love it. I love it. Why don't you go ahead and share your screen so we can actually take a dive into all the terms that you've just mentioned, because there might be individuals that have heard about Web3 or, the other parts of it, but have no clue how would that even benefit them. So why don't you go ahead, for those that might be listening that don't know what Web3 is, why don't you go ahead and define that, um, involved with this whole area.
Definitely. So, in order to understand Web3, we have to understand Web1, Web2, and Web3. So, Web1 is basically from 90s to 2004. There was nothing you could do on the internet apart from just reading websites or consuming information. Then came to Web2 from 2004 till today, which is basically we have these applications, Facebook, Amazon, Google, where you as a user could not just read information, you could write information as well. A lot of good things happened, but there are a few problems, which was basically it was too centralized. These big companies control everything, and it caused a lot of problems. Second was there was no currency embedded into it. So any transaction that you had to perform on the internet, you have to rely on these middlemen like banks or exchanges. And the third is that there was no concept of ownership, right? Apart from other problems, these were the main three problems. Therefore, when this new technology came out in 2009 called the blockchain technology, it sort of solved these three problems, which was that now any new organization that becomes the level of Google or Facebook or Amazon, it would be decentralized. It wouldn't be that power wouldn't be in one place. The power would be distributed within the users or the community of the application through tokens. That was the first thing. That now there would be no centralizations. Second is basically there would be a native currency on the internet, which is cryptocurrency that you can perform transaction online and with cryptocurrency peer-to-peer. And the third is the concept of ownership, which is basically you can own things on the internet for the first time through something called non-fungible tokens. So that's basically Web3. Web3 is a new iteration of the internet where the foundation of the internet is being changed, which would ultimately result in the benefit of the overall community. Right now, the majority of the benefit goes to these giant companies. They make a lot of money, all the benefits is to them. But right now, with this new application that start coming out, the community or us as users would be more empowered and rewarded. That's the short version of it.
Okay, so how did you get involved with the Web3 side? What's your background? I love stories and journeys. I mean, mine has not been straight and narrow. I being a lawyer and an educator, even though I will share with everyone on our conversation that during college, my major was science, technology, and society. So I know I've mentioned this before on other talk shows, but when I learned about blockchain, I really felt like everything was coming together, and I felt very comfortable with the whole idea because of the policy side, the tech side. It just felt like, finally I've gone full circle. What's your story? How did you end up coming to this space?
My story is quite interesting. So I'll go back a little bit, but I'll make it fast. I'm an immigrant. I was born in Pakistan. Then I moved to Dubai. I lived there for 4 years and came to Bahrain. All my life, I was told that the only way to get ahead in life was to study hard and get good grades. And I did that for 12 straight years. And I was always at the top of my class. But I went to university. I realized, no, that's not how I'm going to make it. I have to figure out different ways. So I shifted my focus from my studies and I got more focus on learning skills. Mainly it was selling, and second was developing things. At the age of 17, I was able to make my first $60 online by writing an article for someone. And that was a new concept to me that I can make money online, that I don't have to rely on anyone. So from there on, then I decided that I will never work for anyone. All I have to do is just figure out things for myself, provide value to people on the internet and earn money. So from there on, then for the next 2 years, I scaled that idea where I realized that if I wanted to make more money, because my goal has always been to make as much money as possible, as fast as possible. When I was young, that was my goal. But then I realized that I only have a limited number of hours in a day and I could not do everything myself. So I have to learn the skills of managing and delegation. So I hired a bunch of writers and then I hired a bunch of sales people. And I sort of created this whole online agency just through my WhatsApp. So that was my sort of first venture at entrepreneurship. I didn't even know what the meaning of entrepreneur at that time. So from there on, then I was able to do that. And then as human beings, we always want to do bigger things. We always want more. We are never satisfied. So I told to myself, okay, I'm done with this. I'm going to do something bigger. Long story short, I did a lot of things for the next 4 to 5 years. Some of them succeeded, some of them failed. But in 2021, I was sitting with two of my friends, Shehroz and Talha, who are my co-founders today. And they're like, Talha, there's something called an NFT and we should look into it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to look into it. There are other things I want to focus on. I want to build an e-commerce store, which I'm going to scale to millions of dollars in sales, because that was my goal. But then when he told me that these pictures of monkeys are worth millions of dollars, I was hooked. I was like, okay, I'm going to look into it. So I went home, started reading about it, went down the crypto rabbit hole, studied all the way from 1990s cypherpunk era till today, 2021. And I was like, okay, this is too big to ignore. And because again, I was a software engineer, so I was able to pick up the concept very quickly. And I was like, okay, too big to ignore. We need to do something. We dropped everything. We launched a project. That project got really good traction. The initial collection got sold out, and we were able to make really good connections in this space and develop a name for ourselves. From there on, then we saw one problem and an opportunity. The problem was that there were not enough good developers out there or technical people who could basically help us. Although we were technical, we were developers, but the blockchain development was sort of new to us. So we were like looking for help, but there was no one who can help us. So we solved that problem by learning ourselves. We spent the next 3 to 4 months by just educating ourselves, so we could just do that. Once we did that, opportunity came where people like, oh, guys, can you help us? And we're like, cool, if you'll pay us, we'll help you. And that's where this company started as 3 guys working from the bedroom. I'm still in the bedroom, working from the bedroom, doing smart
Well,
contract development.
these days you can be working from your home on the beach. It doesn't matter where you are because the remote business is just, it's the way of life now.
Exactly. So with 3 friends started this company. It's been 1 year. We scaled to a team of 15 plus, working with clients all over the world. Have worked with some of the biggest projects in this space, and yeah, we're still growing. It's been an amazing journey. More than the financial side of the things, the reason I got involved in blockchain was the main problem it's solved. Just to quickly mention is that one is that, let's say if I'm sitting here, I want to send money to my family back in Pakistan or any other country, I have to rely on these middlemen a lot, right? Which take a heavy percentage and take like 5 to 6 days. But when I realized that I can send crypto instantly, it was too big. And then there was this concept of ownership and a lot of different things. So I was like, mainly what got me hooked was the technology. And yeah, that's the reason I'm here.
No, I love it. Now a question that came to my mind, which maybe is, people who are listening are also thinking, I have a website, but I want to do Web3. What's the difference, or how do I elevate or change over, and then the other question is, is blockchain, that they might be asking themselves, is blockchain on the internet? Is it on a node? They've heard all this story. How, why don't we kind of break it down so that if someone has a business and a website, obviously they would need to hire you to kind of do this, but how does this get translated over, and does the customer for them, do they really even have to think about the difference between it, or is it really more the backside that is the difference?
Definitely. So there are a lot of questions, so we'll answer one by one. Let's start with by explaining blockchain, because I think it's really important to understand.
Yeah.
The simplest way to understand blockchain is that it's a new way of storing information. Now imagine there's a magical book in which I write that Talha owns $10 and Jacqueline owns $10, right? And that's the book. And as soon as we write this, millions of copies are created of this book and sent to everyone who wants to participate. Now, in that book, it's written Talha owns $10. But if I want to come in and I want to change that Talha owns $100, what I have to do, I have to make a change in every single copy, right? And of that magical book, which makes it nearly impossible. So the concept of blockchain is that once anything is stored there, any information or data is stored there, it's very difficult to change. Normally, when data is stored, it's in centralized devices or servers, which can be changed if needed, right? Which causes a lot of problems. So in a simplest sense, blockchain is a new way of storing information, which cannot be manipulated easily or nearly impossible. Now this, I get asked this question a lot. Okay, how can my business benefit from this technology? And initially I was like, yeah, it can help you. But now with over time, as my understanding has become better and I've been more mature, I realized that, okay, not everyone needs to be involved in this, or not everyone needs to, be on blockchain or get scared or be afraid by it. But having an understanding is really good, because before going even to Web3, most businesses haven't even taken advantage of the internet properly, right? They don't even have a really good website set up. They don't even have done SEO, which is sort of search engine optimization, with which their website can rank in Google searches. They don't even have a social media strategy. So for a business going into Web3, they need to make sure that they have figured out all the stuff previously, that they have done that, then only they can come into this. But so that's one thing, right? If you're a business owner and you want to get into this, you need to make sure you have done the previous things properly. And the second is, but there are some businesses who can really benefit from it, which I'll talk about is if I scroll down directly, one of our biggest clients is Bugatti Group. Now this company is someone who sells handbags, travel bags. And normally what they used to do is that they manufacture a lot of that. Whenever they want to launch a new product, they manufacture a lot of inventory beforehand, and then they sold it. What happens in that case is that sometimes their product got sold, and sometimes they were left with all this inventory and a lot of cost. But with this technology, what we did was sort of reverse that approach, where instead of whenever they want to launch a new product, instead of creating an actual product, they created a digital version of the product, and then they sold the NFTs, right? Tokens, basically, digital version of that. And in that case, they did not have to manufacture anything beforehand. However many tokens got sold, they only manufactured that bag. So in that way, we sort of reversed the process and reduced their cost, and were able to help them increase profit. So that, and then with that, basically, these bags are expensive and luxury. So, and most of the people that bought these bags bought for flipping purposes, which was like they bought the bag and they want to sell someone, right? But normally, what the flippers or the people who wanted to make profit out of it they would have to get the bag, and then they would have to find a customer, and then they would have to ship the product to the customer to make their profit. But with non-fungible tokens, these guys, they can buy these tokens on marketplaces like OpenSea, and then they can flip it at the same time and get their money. So it's sort of changing the entire process, where they don't even have to touch the physical bag or see the physical bag ever again, and still make their profit. So it was again a win-win for the company and the win-win for customers as well. And those guys who actually wanted the product could claim the product. That's just one example of how we help them.
So let me
Second is
ask you, let
basically,
me interrupt you for a
yeah,
quick second before we go over to another business concept, because I love this. I was thinking, here I have my book, and my book actually was on OpenSea, but the question I have is, with the physical product of the bag, even though I understand the idea of flipping the NFTs, eventually someone might want that bag.
yeah,
So
yeah.
would they then, is the built into the NFT information where they would collect the bag and at a specific store, or how does that work? Because obviously having the physical product and the online concept of the product, eventually you want to ship or purchase or obtain. So how was that solved?
Yeah, definitely. So when someone buys an NFT, they sort of have what they can do. There is this, it's called metadata of the NFT. There's some information stored in the token that
Yeah.
is this product claimed or not claimed, right? If it's not claimed, they can go to their website, connect their wallet, or just go on the website, and they can claim the bag, enter their shipping information, and they can get their product shipped if someone needs it. And then that NFT's sort of value changes because there isn't a physical product attached to it. So right now, even if you go on the marketplace, you would see there are some NFTs who have a physical product attached to it, and some NFTs, the product has been claimed.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. So, again, my mind is spinning with all these different ideas as to how this might work for me personally, with the business that I have. So I see that you have had a variety of clients. Some of these are NFTs, some of these other businesses. What are some of the other businesses that you've worked with?
Definitely. Before I talk about this, I just want to bring one general concept for everyone is that 20 years ago, people were very skeptic. Okay, why my business should be on the internet, right? Now
Yeah.
everyone needs to have a website and everyone needs to be on. Again, 10 years back, social media came out and everyone was like, why should I care about social media? Now every business has a social media strategy and they're paying amazing, crazy amounts to these influencers to promote their product and stuff like that. So what you need to understand is that you as a business, where is your audience, right? Now most of the audience which will come, and again it ties into the concept of the metaverse, right, which basically ties with Web3, is that we might have a different online presence where users would be there. So and if once these applications start coming out where with these immersive glasses or whatever, where I can roam around, the customers would be there. So you as a business, if that's your target audience, you need to start thinking from now on, okay, how can I sell my product or my services or just provide value to my customers in those platforms. So that's one thing that people need to understand. And when I tell them, okay, then they start thinking about it. Okay, there is something into this. It's not that necessarily that it's going to affect you now, but it might happen that, because again, those who are not willing to change, they get left behind. So that's one thing, that where your customers are going to be. And if you see these young children, my brother, or you might have siblings, that they're always in these games, Minecraft, Roblox,
Yeah.
Fortnite, right?
Yeah.
They're very familiar, and that is basically the concept of the metaverse, right? So they are into these platforms. Now, I give an example. McDonald's created their sort of an, a store in Fortnite where you can just play the game, and then you can go and order the food directly from the game, right?
Exactly.
So again,
Exactly.
exactly. So that's what's going to happen. So you need to keep your customers in mind and keep the future generation in mind. They're very different. So we need to serve them.
I love the fact that you're talking about this because about last year I was looking at, I see you have the sandbox game there. I was looking at Decentraland. I was looking at all these other places trying to figure out, okay, how do I have a store within there for the book, for CryptoMom2, for, you know, whatever it is that I might want to share, the talk show or whatever. And you're right, these are new online venues that can blend with the physical venues and integrate with the different social media that already exists, you know, from Twitter to Discord to Telegram, you know, Facebook. I mean, it's huge in terms of, you know, and so it can all be interconnected. So I do think that, you know, if I say you in the broad sense, if you are a traditional business, and if you're looking at how do you leverage your customers, remember what happened during COVID. You know, at first we were, and hopefully we never experience that again, but we at first had the physical, and then all of a sudden we were forced into the online. And, you know, the whole global community ended up being online, and that's how we communicated. And it brought us a larger awareness that we can network and do business with those that are in other locations. So I think everyone does need to think about how do you expand your online presence. So what other businesses have you worked with, so we can kind of give an overview to everyone as to the diversity that you're able to help?
Definitely. So right now you mentioned you were looking for creating a store in Decentraland. So this came to my mind is we work with a company called Rack Ceramics. They're based out of UAE, Dubai, and they're a really big ceramics company. They create tiles and stuff like that. So again, now this company who has millions of dollars in revenue, they were really caring about this technology, right? Even though they don't need to care about, they're doing very well in normal work, but they're like, again, forward thinking, they're always ready to take an option. So what they were like, there was this platform called Decentraland. For those of you people, listeners who don't know what Decentraland is this, it's online metaverse or a 3D virtual environment where you can have your own characters and, you know, roam around, and then you can perform transactions with real money, which is cryptocurrency, and own things as NFTs. So that was like one of the most famous metaverse called Decentraland. Now this company called Rack Ceramics, they came to us and they were like, well, we need to have a store here with which we can showcase our products and then ultimately lead people to buy those products. So we created this 3D showroom, which was a replica of their existing showroom. And we showcase some of their products. As you can see, if you go inside, this is like how their actual buildings look like. So we just sort of created a digital twin here, and there were products showcased here. And then they were like, people could just click on the links and they could go buy products, or they can just buy product from here itself. Because at that time, this specific platform called Decentraland had a lot of users. I don't remember the exact name, but there were a lot of users here on this platform. With time, as the market is going down, the number of users have decreased, the activity has decreased. But again, it's a matter of time when, again, users start going to these platforms again, which I was going, we need to be wherever users are. So that's one example of how we help them create a metaverse store, which helped them, you know, and this got them a lot of traction as well. So they got around 200K users onto their website with just having a metaverse store, because no other company in their in this specific niche was doing anything. So that really helped them.
Yeah, no, it's like you said, if you are in a space that no one else is in, or very few people are in, then you're going to get traction there because you are unique. And so you do always have to be forward thinking as to where can you put your product or service, because you know, it's where the clients could possibly be. So what are you showing us now? Because you're scrolling across. And for those that are on the
Yeah.
audio side, definitely come on over to the you know, to the YouTube side so you can actually see it.
Yeah, so there are a lot of projects that we work with. If I go through each one of them, it'll take a long time. But what I'm going to say is that we work with, like, for example, Santa Fe NFT. So this is a platform for artists who are looking to create digital art, can come onto this platform, and this platform would help them launch their first ever collection. So again, this technology is for everyone, from artists to business owners to creatives. I think this technology is mainly for creators, because right now, when you are a creator on these social media platforms, and you have a lot of views, or, you know, you have a lot of audience, you're not able to make money. Why? Because these platforms take a giant cut. So if you're in YouTube and you make videos, and you have a lot of viewers, YouTube would take all the ad revenue. If you're on Instagram, they would take it. But with this new technology, there are new platforms coming out where you as a creators would get to keep the entire credit. So if you're familiar how ads work, is that when you want to run ad on any social media platform, you take the platform and the platform sort of takes the entire credit and give you a very, very small percentage to you if you read a certain amount of views. Even though if it's in 100,000 or millions of views, you don't get paid. But with this, because there are these central men, but with this technology, there are new platforms that will coming out there and coming out there where you can keep the entire revenue as long as you have an audience or you have. So I think creators, digital creators, need to pay much more attention to this technology. And yeah, there are a lot of projects that we work with, Binance, American Crypto Academy. American Crypto Academy is a really good one, which is by Stars and Funds, is that they are
Yes,
sort of
I know.
focusing
Thank
on.
you so much for bringing this up, because American Crypto Academy and Sarson Funds also, were sponsored my booth at the Bitcoin 2023. So I definitely wanted to share with everyone who's listening that they need to check this out. So I'm really glad that you brought this up. Thank you so much. So share more.
So American Crypto Academy, and the team is awesome, first of all, and they're doing a
Yes.
really good job, which is basically uh, all the stuff I'm talking about would not matter if these guys are not into place, because the first step is bring onboarding users into the world of Web3, and that's done through
Yeah.
crypto education. So American Crypto Academy is on a mission to basically educate people from all the way from like beginners and mostly real estate professionals, lawyers, doctors, on every profession. Because just as you said and I said, is that crypto is for everyone. It's not for just the technical people. So what they're doing is sort of focusing on the education and making these professionals ready with their certification and courses. So, and their application is still live. You can go check them out, and they're doing a really good job. And I'm amazed. The quality of content that these guys create is really good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will also have their links embedded below, because of the fact that I definitely support what they're doing. I'm all about education, and they're about clarity. So, and providing everyone needs to be informed. And so you do need to educate, because again, in this space, you have to be an aware customer, and that means that you have to educate yourself.
Amazing. And yeah, there are a lot of other projects I work with from all different industries. It's an amazing journey,
Such
because
a variety.
exactly, I wake up every day excited that there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn, there's so much to do. And again, it's at that moment where, history is being created. If you go back 20 years back when Facebook, Amazon, Google were creating out, if I was there at that time, I would have been so excited. I think this is, again, that sort of time where we are witnessing these next Facebook, Amazon, Google being created.
So if someone is listening and they are thinking about taking the next step, maybe a little nervous about taking the next step, what would you recommend to them? And for new clients, how do you onboard them? What's the process, so that way they can feel comfortable reaching out to you to kind of learn a little bit more about the service?
Yeah, again, apart from people reaching out to us, I would recommend is that education. Just get involved, listen to podcasts such as yourself and other education resources, just to get an understanding of what's going on. Because having knowledge does not hurt, it does not cost anything in today's days. It's everything is free. So that's the first step. Be curious, learning about. And once you want to ready to take the next step, you can reach to us, a service provider or different service provider companies, where they can sort of spend a lot of time educating you, because most of our time is spent educating customers, figuring out what how they can navigate this new space. So yeah, that's the first step where they can get in touch with us. We spend a lot of time on educating them, consulting them, strategizing with them, and then on we go to the next step, which is the execution step.
That sounds great. Why don't you go ahead and mention how they can reach out to you, even though I'm going to definitely have the blog, everything embedded in the blog below.
Yeah, definitely. So we are everywhere. So we have a website. We are on all social media platforms. They can reach onto www.nalikes.com. And then there is a contact form. You can reach out to us where we basically ask you a bunch of questions, ask you your pain points, what are you looking to do? And then we reach out back to you. We schedule a call, a discovery call, and then we take it from there.
And I know this might be too broad a question, but from start to finish, if someone was to, reach out to you and say, hey, this is my project, um, can they have something turned around in like a few months, or how long does it might take? I know every client might be different, but what's the turnaround time?
Yeah, so we proud of ourselves with fast turnaround time because by working like the last 1 year, what we have done, we have these ready-made white labels or template solutions with which we can have a very quick turnaround. So anywhere from 1 week to 1 year, but it
Wow.
won't be 1 year. It's 1 week, yeah, one
Yeah,
to two
wow.
weeks.
That's amazing. That is really amazing. And so everyone who's listening, definitely think about how can you step up to from web 2 to web 3. And as we talked about, it is all about education, and to educate yourself, sometimes you need to reach out to individuals, like the studio, to find out how to make this happen. So again, everyone who's listening, definitely check out the platforms that are going to be embedded below, the websites below. And if you have questions, ask them, because that's how we learn. And I know that when I first started, I was definitely at a kindergarten level or pre-K level in terms of terminology. Now, again, I might be at the 5th grade level, because, those that are coding are definitely at the graduate school level. I'm not there yet. But again, we grow as we learn and as we ask the questions. And I really appreciate your being on today. I've learned a lot, and I'm very excited to be learning more as we kind of have more episodes to talk about the technology, the Web3 space, and also your other clients, because again, each one of your clients is very unique and is solving a different problem within the space. So for everyone, as I always say at the end of my shows, remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. We're all so interconnected, or we're all part of one world. Definitely like and subscribe, and have a great day. Thanks, everyone. Bye.